In this episode of this series, I'll be discussing the best roller coaster in each state of the United States. Hello coaster lovers, we only got 2 more regions to cover in this series. And one of the regions that I'll be covering is the South. And if you possibly don't know where the South is, it's here in the US. So I think we should hop right in with the birth state of Walmart, Arkansas. Arkansas has one park, which is Magic Springs, and their standout coaster is a one-of-a-kind in the US. It's X-Coaster. This is the only Maui Skyloop in North America, and the closest coaster I got to compare X-Coaster to is Tigress. It's a tall coaster that goes forwards and backwards with an insane hang time moment. This is truly a hidden gem. A state that has the same amount of coasters as Arkansas is Louisiana. Louisiana is home to the abandoned Six Flags New Orleans, but I'm focusing on operational coasters, and Raging Cajun is the best coaster in Louisiana. This is the only Vekoma boomerang that has made this series. It's because there is no other choice for Louisiana besides a Zyklon, so you know what a boomerang is like. Up a lift, drop, cobra roll, loop, and do it all over again. So moving on, a state that is going to surprise some people in terms of coasters is Mississippi. The best coaster in Mississippi is actually not the All-American coaster at a random place in Mississippi. We have to travel towards the Gulf and experience Biloxi Beach Hurricane. Just like Raging Cajun, this is the only Zyklon coaster that has made the series as well. You can find these types of coasters everywhere, including permanent parks and traveling fairs. I have also never been on one, and it looks interesting. The state next door to Mississippi is the first state on the video that I have visited, and it's with Alabama. I have been to Alabama a few times, but sadly, not any of the parks. And for this segment, I'm going to give an honorable mention to Rampage at Alabama Adventure. It's an honorable mention because right now, it's standing by not operating, so when it reopens in 2025, it'll take the award from the best operating coaster in Alabama for right now, Rolling Thunder. This is really the only option to choose besides Rampage. I have also heard this coaster runs like crap, so I'll probably never ride it unless if I'm in the area, which is not anytime soon. Alright, time for another state that I have visited, and it has a park that I have visited, and it's with Tennessee. Tennessee is a great place to visit when you're on vacation, especially Pigeon Forge, and they have a major park there, which is Dollywood, and their standout coaster is the failed Lightning Rod. Attempting to build a launch wooden coaster was not a great idea, and they even replaced the launch with the lift hill, which does hurt the ride experience, but is to improve reliability. But from my experience, it's a phenomenal coaster. The launch was a great start to the ride, and the quad down is absurd, and it's glass smooth. It wasn't that rough in the back, so to sum it up, great layout with amazing airtime, and I'll probably make a review for this ride soon. But the first state on the list that has 2 major parks is Virginia, which is up next. Home to Coaster Studios, this is one of the most stacked states for coasters. And Virginia only has 2 parks, but both of them look so good. As for the best coaster, I'm going to pick Intimidator 305, and first of all, I'm not calling it Project 305. This is a worldwide famous coaster, because the first turn was so intense that it made people black out. There is no wonder why that turn got a higher elevation a few years later after it opened. But anyway, it looks like it'll break your neck with those high-speed S-bends, and dare I say, it's one of my top bucket list coasters, but not in the top 10 though. But a state that is home to half a park is North Carolina. The half park in North Carolina is Carowinds, and you all know what the best coaster in North Carolina is. It's obviously Fury 325. This is the crown jewel of B&M coasters, and you'll find out why in half a second. It has a phenomenal layout, a great color scheme, beautiful trains, and quick transitions, but unlike Intimidator 305, this is on my list of my top bucket list coasters. And if you want to find out what the other coasters on that list are, go ahead and click the card above, but I'm always itching to ride Fury. Now it's time to go a little further down south the park into South Carolina. The other half of Carowinds is in South Carolina, and it's a toughie between Thunderstriker and Afterburn, but I chose Thunderstriker in the end. This is definitely giving Diamondback vibes because of its layout with its camelbacks and train design, but I feel like they could have picked a better name than Thunderstriker. It just sounds tacky and last minute, but the coaster looks like a great hypercoaster, and I always question myself, why have I not been to Carowinds yet? It just feels wrong. As for the last 2 states, I have been to these 2, and one of them is Georgia. And for Georgia, the original plan was Goliath, but I completely forgot that ArieForce One existed, but I noticed it at the last minute. Just like the prior coasters besides Thunderstriker, this is also a top bucket list coaster for me. This coaster was announced last minute, but it looks incredible, and it has a lot of standout elements such as the quote-unquote arcade roll, first drop, the stall, the outer bank, and of course, the quad down. If I was visiting Atlanta to do Six Flags Over Georgia and Wild Adventures, I want to make Fun Spot Atlanta one of my stops just for this ride, but I really want to get on this thing. It looks so good. But now it's time for my opinion, the most overrated state in the US, Florida. this is the state that I moved to, but I think it's getting too much love, not for the coasters, but for the state as a whole. Maybe it's that I lived here for so long that I'm not used to being in paradise anymore. It's probably that. But as for the best coaster in Florida, this is based on personal preferences. I have not ridden a Velocicoaster yet, but I've done the other coaster which won the award as the best coaster in Florida, Iron Gwazi. This is my number one coaster for right now. But I'm trying to lower my expectations for Velocicoaster because I'm scared that I'm going to overhype it in my head. But back to Iron Gwazi. This ride is just incredible in the best way possible. It's everything you want in an RMC. Ejector, quick transitions, snappy inversions, a smooth experience. Iron Gwazi has those covered. I also do like the design of the trains too. It looks very sleek. And I've ridden this coaster 8 times so far. You have to check it out when you're in Florida. Even though if you're in Miami, it'll be worth the drive to Busch Gardens. So I want to hear from you guys. How would you rank the best coaster in each state of the South? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel too. The final region we'll be covering is New England, and I'll skip 2 states in that region. So stay tuned for the next 5 days, and keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.